welcome to the second semester of biology. It's still the last few days of winter break, but I'm going to make this video for us so we can hit the ground running. All right, so the first unit of the second semester, the spring semester, is cell reproduction, or how cells make new cells. Most of your cells don't last forever. Like your skin cells only last about 2 weeks. So if you don't make new cells, eventually you're going to run out of cells. So your cells got to constantly reproduce. One cell is going to divide to become two cells, and we're going to see how that works. All right, some key terms for your notes. Yes, you should be taking notes. All right, so you're going to notice a lot of the terms in this unit start with the letter C. All right, and here comes four of them. Chromosomes versus chromatin versus chromatids. I'm going to start with the second one down, chromatin. When your cells are in what's called interphase, interphase is just a phase or a stage of the cell cycle where your cell is just being a cell. It's not dividing, it's not reproducing. So when your cell is just being a cell, it's an interphase. And when your cells are in interphase, your DNA is loose. It's spread out in the nucleus. It's not squished together. You can't see it under a microscope. When the DNA is spread out in the nucleus and it's not visible under a microscope, it's called chromatin. Now, as soon as your cell is getting ready to divide, yes, you got to make new cells because your cells don't last forever. Skin cells only last about 2 weeks, so you got to make new ones. So when your cell is about ready to divide, one cell is going to turn into two cells. The DNA, the chromatin, squishes together, forming what's called chromosomes. So you can see over here. So here we got two chromosomes. We got a blue one. These are single-stranded chromosomes, and a pink one. Us humans, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. We get 23 chromosomes from our mom. We get 23 chromosomes from our dad. And these are called homologous chromosomes because they carry the same type of genetic information. For example, like chromosome pair number one, we get a one from mom, we get one from dad. They carry the same type of information. Same with chromosome pair number 15. Since they're homologous, they carry the same type of information. So, for example, it'd be like this. If this chromosome right here on the dad chromosome, if this was the gene for eye color, determining what eye color you have, over here on the mom chromosome, since they're homologous, this also would be the gene for determining what color eyes you have. All right, so you can see these are single-stranded chromosomes. After DNA replication, the blue guy made an exact copy of himself. So now there's two halves. It's a double-stranded chromosome, but they're still chromosomes. So these are single-stranded chromosomes. These are double-stranded chromosomes. And same thing with the mom over here. That DNA, the chromosome, it made an exact copy of itself. So now there's two sides. But now each side is no longer a chromosome. Each of these legs now, those are now sister chromatids. Sister chromatids. So each half of this chromosome, these are sister chromatids. And the last thing you can see right here, the sister chromatids are attached in a region on the chromosome called the centromere. All right, so you're gonna have to see that these are single-stranded chromosomes. These are double-stranded chromosomes. Each half is a sister chromatid, and they're attached to each other at the centromere. All right, before we get into the cell cycle and how cells reproduce, divide or reproduce, one cell becoming two cells, a couple of different types of cells, broad class of cells. The first one are called somatic cells. These are the cells that make up your body. So, for example, the cells that make up your skin, the cells that make up your muscle, the cells that make up your nerves, your bones, your blood. All those cells are your somatic cells. They make up your body. Now, another type of cell are called your gametes. Gametes. These are your sex or reproductive cells. So these are the cells you use to reproduce if you want to have a baby. So the male is the sperm and the female is the egg or ova. Now, somatic cells, your body cells, they're called diploid because they have two sets of each chromosome, one from each parent. So you can see right here, this cell right here, it's diploid because it's got one from mom and it's got one from dad. It's got both chromosomes. Remember humans, we have 46, but this is a very simple cell with only two. But this would be diploid because it's got one from mom, one from dad. It's got two sets. Where these guys down here, these would be like your gametes, your reproductive cells. This one only has one of each chromosome, one from mom, one from mom, one from dad, one from dad. Since this one only has one, it doesn't have two sets. This is called being haploid. So our somatic cells have 46 chromosomes. They have one from each parent, 23 from mom, 23 from dad. But our gametes, since it's only going to have one of each chromosome, our gametes only have 23 chromosomes. So 46 in our body cells, 23 chromosomes in our reproductive cells are gametes. All right, the cell cycle. What the cycle that all your cells go through. So first thing you know, there's two main phases. There's interphase. That's when your cell is not dividing; it's just being a cell, whatever type of cell it is. It's just doing its job. It is not dividing. And then when a cell is ready to divide, when one cell is ready to divide and become two cells, it goes into what's called mitosis. All right, so all this over here in this little pie chart, this is all interphase over here. This one, a cell is just being a cell. So most of the time, your cells are in interphase, and it's this whole region right here. Now, when a cell gets ready to divide, that's the yellow part. That's when it's going to go into what's called mitosis. So mitosis, you can see right here, is the division of the nucleus. So first, the nucleus of the cell looks like the yolk inside of an egg, but it's not. The little dark circle inside the cell, first, you need to make two nuclei. And then when the cell divides into two, each new cell will have its own nucleus. So out here's interphase. I'm going to go over these steps in a second. And then when a cell's getting ready to divide, it goes into mitosis, which has four different steps: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. I'll go over these. And then finally, once we get two nuclei, when the cell actually divides into two new cells, that process is called cytokinesis. A lot of stuff. So cytokinesis is the division of the cytoplasm, where the cell membrane pinches off to form two cells. And we're going to go over this here on the next couple slides. All right, so now the three stages of interphase. Remember, this is when a cell is not dividing, it's just doing its job as a cell. So we have what's called G1, gap 1, right here. We have the S phase right here, and then we have gap 2. You're not going to really need it. I don't think you'll have to know these. So in gap 1, the cell is growing and it's carrying out its normal functions. Then you might need to know this. In the S, right here, the S stage of interphase, this is when the DNA replication occurs. This is when the DNA is making an exact copy of its DNA. So when the cells finally divide, each new cell is going to have all the DNA. And then gap 2 right here, the last stage of interphase, this is when a cell's getting ready to divide. So it continues to grow and it's making proteins and organelles needed for mitosis. So it's getting ready to divide. Remember, and it's going to enter mitosis right here. So you're gonna have to remember, here's some real cells down here. We're gonna see these under the microscope as well. Remember, when a cell is in interphase, when it's in interphase, the DNA is in the form of chromatin. It's not squished together to form chromosomes yet. So you can't see the chromosomes. This right here, that's interphase. You can see the nucleus. That's the pink circle. That's interphase. Now you can see the difference between this one. You see those little rods? Those are the chromosomes. So this is not interphase. This is when the cell is dividing. Same with this one. You can see the chromosomes. So that's not interphase. The interphase are ones like this, where you can see the nucleus, but you cannot see the dark chromosomes like you can in that one. So you're going to have to be able to recognize which cells are in which stage of the cell cycle. So the ones that you can see the nucleus and you cannot see the chromosomes, those are interphase. All right, this video is getting a little long, so I'm going to try to speed it up. All right, so a way to remember the stages of mitosis, a little trick. So right here you have a dog. It's got a mat, a dog urine mat. Well, you could also call that mat a pee mat because the dog goes pee on it. PMAT, pee mat. So if you can remember PMAT, you should be able to remember the four stages of mitosis. The first stage is called prophase. The P stands for prophase. The M stands for metaphase. The A stands for anaphase, and the T stands for telophase. And I'm going to go over each one of these phases right now. All right, so now your cell is getting ready to divide. One cell is getting ready to split into two cells. So it's no longer in interphase. It's now going to enter prophase. So what happens in prophase? The first step of when a cell is getting ready to divide to form two cells, the chromatin, the DNA, the chromatin condenses into visible chromosomes. So this cell right here, this guy, he's in interphase because you can see the nucleus. You cannot see the dark chromosomes. This guy right here, this guy's in prophase. You can see the dark chromosomes. Notice the difference between this guy and this guy. This one, the chromosomes have become visible and the nuclear membrane begins to break down or dissolve to disappear. So this guy right here, you can see the chromosomes and they're kind of like still in a circle. That's prophase, the first step of mitosis. All right, the second stage of mitosis, we just had prophase. Don't forget PMAT, P-M-A-T, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. Well, the M stands for metaphase. And this is easy. In metaphase, the chromosomes line up in the middle. Middle, metaphase, middle, metaphase. You can see this a diagram, a drawing. Here's the chromosomes. They're lined up in the middle of the cell. I know here's some actual cells in different stages of the cell cycle. This is interphase because look, you cannot see the chromosomes. This is prophase because they're still in like a circle, but you can see the chromosomes. Here's metaphase right here. They're lined up in the middle. So this is metaphase right there. Metaphase, the chromosomes are lined up in the middle of the cell. And then eventually, those sister chromatids are going to get separated from each other. Half the DNA is going to go one side, half the DNA is going to go the other side before the cell divides. So just remember, metaphase, they're lined up in the middle. All right, we're on to the third step of mitosis. So PMAT, P, prophase, M, metaphase, and now we're at A for anaphase. What do you know about anaphase? Sister chromatids are moving away or apart from each other. So sister chromatids, they were lined up down the middle during metaphase. During anaphase, these things called centrioles. You can see a centriole right here and a centriole over here, another C word. They send out like these little fibers and they're the ones that lined up the chromosomes down the middle of metaphase, and now they're pulling the sister chromatids apart right here during anaphase. So these guys are moving this way to this side of the cell, and these guys are moving this way to that side of the cell. Eventually, this cell is going to break off, forming two cells. So which ones are in anaphase? This is interphase. That's prophase because you can see the chromosomes, but they're like in a pile. This is anaphase right here. There's a couple of them. So these guys are moving this way, and these guys are moving that way. This is also anaphase. These guys are moving to the left. These guys are moving to the right. Here's another anaphase, moving to the left, moving to the right. Here's your metaphase when they're lined up in the middle. There's a prophase. There's a prophase. All right, so just remember, in anaphase, the chromosomes are moving away from each other or apart. They're moving to opposite ends of the cell. All right, we're on to the last step of mitosis, the fourth. Remember, PMAT, P-M-A-T. So we're at the T, which stands for telophase. Some people say telophase. Which one's right? I don't know. I say both. All right, so this is where the chromosomes have arrived at opposite ends of the cell, and a new nuclear membrane is beginning to form around the chromosomes, around the DNA. So if you want to see it here, so this is interphase because you cannot see the chromosomes. This is prophase because they're you can see the chromosomes, but they're like in a pile. This is metaphase because they're lined up in the middle. This is anaphase, and so is this one, because they're moving away from each other. Telophase, there's a couple of them, like this one right here. This cell is in telophase. So you can see the difference. This is not a nucleus yet like this. So the chromosomes have arrived, and a new nuclear membrane is beginning to form around these guys. This would also be a telophase right here. So you can see chromosomes are beginning to form new nucleus. And there's another telophase up here. All right, so this is where, and then you can see where the cell membrane is beginning to squeeze in and pinch off. It's going to make new cells. Remember, that's called cytokinesis. I think that's going to be on the next slide, though. All right, so that's telophase, the last step of mitosis. All right, now the final step of cell reproduction or cell division, cytokinesis. So remember, first we had interphase. That's when the cell was not dividing, it was just being a cell. Then when it was getting ready to divide, it goes into mitosis, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. And then once it goes through all that, remember, mitosis, all it does, it makes us a new nuclei. So there's going to be two nuclei in the same cell. Well, now the last thing that needs to happen is the cell membrane needs to pinch off to form two cells. And that's what cytokinesis is. It's the final division of the cytoplasm and the organelles. So this one right here, the cell pinches off, one cell pinches off to become two cells. So you can see it right here. This cell right here, this is going to be a new nucleus right here. There's the chromosomes. That's going to be a new nucleus. Well, you can see the cell membrane right here. It's starting to pinch off, and eventually it's going to pinch off, and it's going to form two cells. One cell dividing into two. All right, last slide. Looks like this is taking about 14 minutes and 20 seconds. In college, that's just getting warmed up. All right, two more C words. We kind of went over this one already. Centrioles. You can see it right here. This red guy over here, this red guy up here. Centrioles, they organize what's called the mitotic spindle, which are just these little strings, these little ropes, these fibers that they send out throughout the cell. And remember, they're going to use those fibers, the mitotic spindle, to move the chromosomes around. So you can see right here, they moved them to the middle. That'd be metaphase. Right after that, the centrioles are going to pull the sister chromatids, or now they're actually chromosomes. Once they get ripped apart, they're single-stranded chromosomes. They're not chromatids anymore. They're going to pull them to the opposite ends of the side of the cell during anaphase. And then one other C word, I don't know if you'll need to know it, probably not, cyclins. These are special proteins that regulate the cell cycle. So they're proteins that basically tell the cell what it's supposed to be doing. Is it supposed to be an interphase? Is it supposed to go into mitosis, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, cytokinesis? So cyclins are special proteins that basically tells the cell what to do. All right, so that's it for this. We're going to have our little quiz right now. So use your notes. Make sure you get all the questions right. All right, I'll talk to you next time.